The title is Thrive. Web event I wanted to host and feature Rhonda of the Fearless Living Institute, and I felt that the time ever. And so welcome everyone. I'm really excited to have you. We've got people from really all across the country that have joined us. And Rhonda, kind of, I know you're there, and
yes, so I am not sure, Salim, you keep going in and out. So I have my camera on now. Yay! Yay! So I have my camera on.
Rhonda, can you're good?
Yep,
sound,
I got my
sound check.
Yep.
And why don't we actually also ask a question?
So I can see, I have my camera
All
on.
right,
I don't
good.
know how, I don't know how I magically did that. I'm completely confused, but hey.
All right, I seem to be going on and off, but more importantly, I want to be able to use. So if there's something, it works. It works. All right, good. Let's get started. Some housekeeping stuff, folks. Very simple. Distractions. I mean, you know, it's 45, 50 minutes together. Bring your A game. I'll make sure myself I'm bringing my A game, and I know Rhonda's ready to bring her A game. So get the cell phones and others, and browser stuff, all that kind of. Give us your undivided attention, because you are gonna get so much from our time together. It's 100% content, nothing to offer other than to come and serve you during a time where we are experiencing real issues, real uncertainty, real chaos. And so that's what this is going to be about in 45, 50 minutes. I encourage you to ask questions. There's questions, happy questions, things that are coming in your mind that you want to just kind of get it out. Do that. We'll do the best to answer your questions. I've got a few questions that I've lined up for Rhonda, and she's ready. She's ready to rock and roll. So a little bit about her. She was named America's favorite life coach. She's a repeat Oprah guest and Emmy Award-winning master coach. She's changed lives in over 600 episodes of reality television, author of 4 bestsellers, including her seminal work, Fearless Living, and she's a founder of the Fearless Living Institute. I've known Rhonda for 5, 6 years. It's been amazing. She's an amazing person and ready to kind of serve you during this time. So Rhonda, are you ready to rock and roll?
I am ready to rock and roll.
All right, let's do it. So what journey, your road up to now has not been, it has been anything but easy. Tell us a little bit about your journey.
So Salim, you're going in and out, so I don't know if it's my internet or your internet or the world's internet, but I believe you asked me, you know, like what got me here and about my journey. So I'll start with that, and I'd be happy to. And what Salim is referring to is
Sure.
the worst day of my life. It's just the worst day of my life. And I don't know if you've had a worst day of your life. You can go ahead and put the chat. You can write in the chat like, yes, Rhonda, I have had the worst day of my life. I definitely have had a bad day. So if you would like to tell me like, yes, Rhonda, bad day, I've had it, go ahead and write it in the chat so that I know that you're right with me. And I'm going to tell you about my worst day in my life. And it was when I was 14 years old. And that really sucks to have your worst day at 14, but it was my worst day of my life is at 14. And my parents were in the middle of separating. And my father, it was Father's Day. And so my father was coming to take us out to Sunday brunch, which when I grew up, I don't know about you, but I grew up and, you know, there's 3 kids, 2 adults. We didn't go out to eat. It's too expensive. So it was a pretty special event that we were going to go and have Sunday brunch. And my father walks in and goes, come on, because that's what dads do. And my 2 sisters are fighting it out in the bathroom. And me, my dad, and my mom start walking out. And as we're walking out, my dad says he has to get his coat from the car. It had just started raining. And as he lifts his trunk, I see his coat, but he does not grab a coat. Instead, he grabs a gun and he starts screaming at my mother, "You made me do this, you made me do this," and fires. And I start screaming, "What are you doing, Dad? What are you doing?" And he cocks the gun again and he looks at me. And I absolutely believe I'm next. He blinks, I blink, he blinks, I blink, and it felt like an hour, and I'm sure it was just 10, 20, 30 seconds, but it felt like forever. And my mother, seeing that gun in my face, yells with her last bit of breath, "No, don't." And my father, realizing my mother's still alive, takes that gun intended for me and shoots my mother a second time. And that second bullet goes through my mother's abdomen and out her back and lands in the car horn. And for the next 20 minutes, all I heard was, "Eh." And then my father cocks the gun again, puts the gun to his head and fires. So within a matter of 2 minutes, I was the sole witness of watching my father murder my mother and commit suicide in front of me. Now, I don't know how you would respond, but this is what I did. I blamed myself because I didn't do anything heroic. You know, I didn't kick my father in the shins. I didn't grab the gun. I didn't even jump in front of my mother. I did nothing heroic. So I felt a lot of guilt and shame, absolutely believed it was my fault. And when you are the sole witness to your mother being murdered, you don't get to be happy again. So happiness basically was not on the table for me anymore in my mind. But you know, that day, I think we've all experienced this, that we pretend things are okay when they're not. And that's what I did. I split myself in two. And on the external, when I'd go to school or meet anybody or see anybody and they'd ask how I'm doing, I'd be like, "Fine, fine, I'm fine." And I acted fine. I pretended everything was fine. I pretended everything was fine. I was fine. The world was fine. I was fine. And internally, though, so there's external, internal. Externally, you know, like we fake our way through life. I was faking my way through life. And internally, I was beating myself up. I had a lot of guilt. I had a lot of shame. I thought maybe I was damaged, like there's something really wrong with me. I definitely felt like I was not good enough. And so during the next 20 years, you know, I went to college, got a scholarship, discovered alcohol, started drinking, became an alcoholic, got 3 DUIs, tried to kill myself 3 times. And when I was in the hospital, because that's where they put you in the psychiatric ward after 3 suicide attempts to see if you're crazy. And when they deemed me not crazy and they let me loose and I went home to my little studio apartment, I realized that I'm not good at killing myself and I got to figure out a different way, because if I'm not dying, the way I've been living doesn't work. This doesn't work. And even though during those years, I have been a self-help junkie and a spiritual human being since I was very small, and I read my first self-help book at the age of 12. So during all those years, it wasn't that I was just sitting by and doing nothing. No, I was going to therapy, I was going to workshops, I was reading books, I was doing trauma therapy and EMDR and shaman work and energy healing and inner birth, you know, inner child work. You name it, I did it. And it was all lovely and it was wonderful and it gave me a lot of skills and tools, but it did not take away the feeling that something was wrong with me. It didn't take away that feeling that I had in the middle of the night. And so when I woke up and ended up being in my studio apartment after my 3rd suicide attempt, and I'm not dying, and all of that stuff was nice. Like I said, I loved it all, still love it, but it didn't take away that feeling. I told myself that I've got to figure out another way, and I sat down and I started making up exercises for myself. Now, mind you, I wasn't proud of this. I thought I must be really damaged after to make up exercises for myself, but that's what I did. I made up exercises for myself. And I started to do those exercises every day, and they started to help me and support me and move me out of that feeling. And then as I was doing those exercises, I started building a relationship and an understanding of fear that I never had. Because during those 20 years, I never said I'm afraid or I'm scared. I didn't have any relationship to fear. Fear I didn't even understand it. It didn't even resonate with me. So the fact that when I started creating my exercises and I started discovering fear and how it really worked, that was mind-blowing to me. It was really opened my eyes to how fear is so insidious and so invisible and so silently and I'll say insidiously again, attempts to run our life every day, every hour, every minute. And so I set about to figure out how fear works, how to process fear, and how to transform fear, how to transcend fear, how to move beyond fear. And so that's what I do today. I really teach people how I changed my life, but more importantly, since then, I have been doing this for now. I started Fearless Living 25 years ago, and I have been creating exercises and putting people through certain programs to support them in mastering fear, and it works, not just for me, but for thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So what I know to be true is that when you understand how fear works, when you understand and build a relationship with fear, everything changes. That negative self-talk goes away, the shame goes away, the blame goes away, and you start seeing yourself through a different set of eyes. And that is a miracle, and it's a miracle that can be achieved by anybody.
Wow. I mean, as you were sharing your story there, your journey, Rhonda, I mean, I had chills go up my spine, literally. And that's such a horrific thing at the age of 14 to witness that and to come out of it and become the person you've become from it. Tell us about what's happened in the past couple of months. How have you responded to the craziness, the uncertainty, like our lives have, I don't have to say it, personal lives, business lives, our livelihoods, like everything is kind of just turned upside down. How have you handled that? What's the advice you can give to the folks that are on the line today?
Absolutely. Well, I have a couple exercises to share that I've put myself through and my clients through and my students through. So I'll share those in a minute. And, I was made for this moment, right? Like in the sense of, I understand how fear works. I understand. It doesn't mean that there's not some real things to be concerned about, some real worries. I mean, obviously the world is changing and we have to look at it through realistic eyes. But we also have to understand the difference between what's actually facts versus the fears that we're making up about it. Because we're always trying to get meaning to our life. We're trying to make meaning. We're trying to make sense of our lives. And that's just us as human beings. We just want to make sense of everything. But when we're trying to make sense of everything and we're trying to create meaning, we make up stories. We create stories around it to make sense. That's what we do. I got to make sense of this. I'm going to tell myself a story. The challenge is the brain doesn't know. Let me tell you a few things about the brain. The brain doesn't know the difference between a made-up story, an imagination story versus reality. It doesn't know the difference. So when you make up a story, and that maybe it's like, oh my God, I'm going to lose everything. Oh my God, it's never going to be the same again. Oh my God, I'm going to, and you really move into that place. And again, not that you may not lose your business or you may not have lost your job. Those things really may have happened. But when we move and allow fear to kind of take us over, that fear will run us down a road that there's no hope, might as well give up, helplessness, a feeling of lost, not being able to recover, those kinds of things. And again, I'm going to give you a couple exercises to help you through that. So I know that that's fear, right? I know the difference between my imagined stories and my factual stories. And most people don't because they can't, again, I've been doing this for many, many years and training my clients to do this for many, many years and students. So it's so subtle, fear is so insidious that we don't necessarily know the difference between our stories and our facts. So that's one thing. One thing about the brain is that it doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. And we have to know that about the brain so that we can actually take back our power. The other thing that we don't know about the brain, I know I didn't. If you're a neuroscience geek, you may know this already. And also what we don't know about the brain is that the brain doesn't know the difference between a physical fear and an emotional fear. So clearly there's physical fears out there, right? There's a coronavirus, right? Don't touch that. There's things that we have to be attentive to. Now, I got my groceries this morning. I had to wipe them all down, wash them all off, wash my hands 17 times, right? Like there's some real physical fears that could be coming up for you. But the brain doesn't know the difference between a physical fear and an emotional fear. And an emotional fear might be fear of rejection or fear of failure or fear of loss or fear of change or fear of the unknown. And the body and brain don't know the difference. So we're having a physical fear, but we're also having emotional fears, and our body is responding to both. We might be getting physical sensations, we might be getting a backache, And that may have nothing to do with our physical fears, it's our emotional fears. The other thing about the brain that I know to be true is that when the brain is faced with the unknown, when the brain is faced with a decision and a choice, and we have to decide, okay, wait a minute, how am I going to take care of myself today? How am I going to take care of my family? You know, just the decisions that we're making every single day. The brain automatically, it's wired to do this automatically, unless we're really awake to it, our brain will automatically look in the past for a solution and bring that solution into the present, crossing our fingers that it gives us a different future, right? And the brain automatically does this in order to save energy, and we are really energy machines. So the brain goes, oh my gosh, Salim and Rhonda are alive, so I must be doing an awesome job keeping them alive. So we have to use the past decisions we've already made because I know those work. And the unknown for fear is literally, it activates us, it triggers us, and we are literally in the midst of the unknown. So we must make the unknown known, and we also must release those things that are unknown to us that we can't know. So, you know, how I've been processing it is, one, doing my exercises, which I'll give you a couple right now. But more importantly, I understand how the brain works. I understand the seduction of giving up. I understand the seduction of helplessness. I understand the devotion, the seduction of, you know, feeling helpless. I get it. And so I am making sure that I'm taking care of my brain. I'm making sure that I've got my mindset, that I am in charge of my mindset. I'm also making sure that I'm doing self-care, because the other thing that I've noticed in the people I've talked to is that, you know, because we're not normally aware of fear, right? Like we don't walk around going, I'm afraid or I'm scared, like I said before. Right now, the world, we're seeing our own fears, right? For the first time, maybe we're starting to recognize our fears. We're starting to see our fears. Our fears are palatable, and the world's fears are palatable, right? And so in that, when we have our fear kind of like up, and maybe for the first time really that we're seeing it in this way, we can start seeing, and we will start seeing, the cracks in the foundation of our life, right? Like the things that are not working about our life. You know, if you're in a relationship that you have been kind of seesawing with, it's going to be really clear what you want to do. If you don't feel like you have enough money in the bank and you're not feeling secure about your business, that crack is going to show. Now, it's not bad to have cracks. We just want to start addressing the cracks. And not only do we want to start addressing the cracks and filling the cracks up and not deny them anymore, or pretend they're not happening, we actually want to take the time to actually build a strong foundation. We want to build a strong foundation. And one of the ways to do that, of course, and I'm going to give you the exercises in a minute, is to actually do self-care, because right now, Salim, the world is very fragile. We're very fragile. And, you know, kind of self-care is going out the window for so many of us. And in reality, remember, for energy machines, we have to manage our energy. That's the number one thing that we have to do right now, is manage our energy. So self-care is going to support us in managing our energy. So therefore, if we manage our energy and take care of ourselves, you know, eat our vegetables, you know, drink our water, take a walk around the block, you know, do jumping jacks in the house, you know, make sure you connect with people and talk to friends and family. When you do that, what you're actually doing is creating more resilience, creating more energy. So you have more resilience, and you are stronger, and you are more capable of making powerful and impactful decisions. Because when our foundation is cracked and we're kind of falling through the cracks and we're not taking care of ourselves, our immune system decreases, our stress goes up, you know, and we are not going to have our wits about us. We're not going to have the energy to actually make the decisions to be most impactful in our relationships, to do the things that we have to do to increase our business, to make sure it's solid and grounded. So, you know, those are just some of the things that, you know, I've been going through. And I actually I was in Australia when all this started going down, Salim, and you know, on the way home, I actually put myself through the exercises that I want to share with you. And before I do, I just want to make sure, is there any questions anybody has so far? Does anybody have anything they want to that they want to share with me or ask me, or anything that's coming up for them? Feel free to throw in a question like, Rhonda, I don't know what to do about this, or this is what's happening in my family, or this is what I'm thinking. So if you want to jot anything down, any questions, I'm here to serve. So please go ahead and throw any questions you have. And I want to just double check with Salim, like what he wants to share and what he wants to ask. And then I'll be happy to share those exercises, Salim.
Awesome. Great. Yeah, folks, open invitation to write your, what you're thinking. Just kind of write it out. Questions. Love to hear from you. We want to make this as interactive and really, as Rhonda said, to serve you. So, a few very powerful things you said there, Rhonda. One that I made a note of for myself is the brain does not know the difference between reality and imagination. And so when it doesn't know the difference, I think we've got the power to kind of trick the brain to serve us.
That's right.
In a positive way rather than a negative way, because it doesn't know the difference anyways. So why don't we feed the brain with things that are going to serve us?
Yeah, and that's what we want to do. We want to definitely serve the things we definitely want to feed the brain things that serve us. And so, you're in charge of, what you're reading. You're in charge of being on this webinar right now, right? So you can absolutely feed your brain the things that will support it, that will, make it stronger, that will empower it to make it more confident, etc. And, it's just a notice that your brain may be getting away with you, might create a story to make sense of something, and it may run away from you. So you want to be really attentive. And there's one thing else that I want to make sure I say that I forgot to say is that the brain, I'll just go back to neuroscience says that you can change your feelings, you can change your behaviors, you can change your actions, you can change your thought, your feelings, your thoughts, etc. And that's wonderful, and it's good. It's all good. And the only way to truly transform the way you interact in the world, the way you see yourself in the world, the way that you actually, like literally the way you see the world and interact with it, the only way is to change your filtering system. So I'll put these as my Wheel of Freedom glasses, and these I'll put my other glasses on as my Wheel of Fear glasses, right? And so if I'm got my Wheel of Fear glasses on, right, and I'm in the global pandemic, right, and 20 million people are unemployed, right? It's filed for unemployment. The Small Business Administration loans have dried up, right? And I'm looking and hearing those things with my Wheel of Fear lenses on. I'm going to be more like, oh my God, right? I'm going to be more panicked. I'm going to have more insecurity. I'm going to feel less than in control. My emotions might run away with me. I might have a lot more anxiety. I might have a deep need for comfort food, as we all do, including myself, right? And, you might be eating more sugar. You might sit on the couch for 2 days, right? So when you're looking through the Wheel of Fear, things look more impossible, frustrating, lonely. I'll just use the word again, just helpless and powerless. So what we want to do is we want to actually, Salim, change our lenses that we're looking through and put what I call the Wheel of Freedom lenses on, right? So these are the Wheel of Fear and these are the Wheel of Freedom. And I want to put my Wheel of Freedom lenses on, right? And I want to look at the same situation. 22 million people unemployed, right? Filed for unemployment. SBA loans are tapped out of money, right? Same situation. And if I've got my Wheel of Freedom glasses on, this isn't about feeling powerless and helpless. This is about making powerful choices that sustain my foundation, that build my foundation, and put me in a powerful, impactful, positive mindset so that I can take the actions that are needed and necessary to care for my family, to take care of my business, to take care of my life, right? And it may not look the way we want it to, right? We might be moving in with our, sister, right? Like, it's not that you putting the freedom lenses on automatically gives you a job and automatically gives you an SBA loan, right? But what it does is it increases your powerfulness. It increases your ability to take control. It increases your knowing that this is just a moment in time. This is not forever. This moment is not forever. This moment is just this moment. So you can take back your power, take back control, and start making more powerful choices for your life.
Wow, great. So Rhonda, comment really very interesting, good, from Anne in Anaheim, California, saying, So you're saying that we should not be listening to negative news about coronavirus, such as deaths and misery and unemployment.
Well, that's what I'm actually not saying that, because I think it's really important that we know the truth. So I don't think that us hearing the number of deaths or finding out that the SBA loan program is out of money is negative. I think that's just a fact, right? That's just a fact. So I listen to the news. I don't watch it every day, every minute. I mean, some people are like glued to it, right? And if you're glued to it, you're probably not creating enough space for you to create. Because the other thing that I'll just add is that when we have an energy, like, right, we're energy beings, which is what I shared. And let's say for the sake of this conversation, we have 100 units of energy every day. If you, how are you using those 100 units of energy? And if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not refueling through self-care, if you're not creating, you're actually depleting your energy level. So if you're watching the news every minute of every day, I doubt you're creating. I doubt that you're in charge of your mind. I doubt you're creating the thoughts you want to. I doubt that you're taking your power back. So I don't see deaths as negative. I see deaths as facts. I see the unemployment as a fact. It's not negative. So negative is saying something, it's like, that unemployment is bad for being unemployment, right? It's like, yeah, no, it's just a fact. So what do we want to do with that fact, right? Like if somebody passes away, I've had two friends, have two very close friends. I do not know these people personally, but I've had two friends have two people die in their life. I have 4 friends that have the coronavirus now, and that's a fact. That's just a fact, right? Sometimes I can get groceries delivered and sometimes I can't. That's not good or bad. It's just a fact. So what we do again is we have these facts, and fear wants to spin a story around it, right? Like, oh my God, this is what it means. It's like, no, stop. So back away. This is just a fact. And what do we want to do with that fact? What story do we want to create? How do we want to look through it? Do we want to look through our fear glasses or our freedom glasses? Because again, news is invaluable for us. That's factual information that is wise to know. But again, so I really invite you to contemplate or think about what you deem as negative versus what you deem as positive. So what you do with it is negative or positive, not the fact itself. Okay.
And so Pete makes a comment here, and I think you've been talking about it. And he says it is a fact, but what do small businesses do now if there's nothing left?
Okay, well, this is a great question. Let me give you my 2 exercises because this is going to support you with small business. So just a side note, I'm sure that you've already been talking about how to pivot your business. So for instance, I've got one of my clients works with dance studios, for children's dance studios. Like, do you think that the dance studios are having dance classes right now? No, they're not. But what all the dance studios are doing with my client who is leading this charge is he is actually getting all of his dance studios online. And so they are now having dance classes online. So, I mean, it's about how do you pivot? I have friends that have gyms and their gym membership, obviously they can't go to the gym, but they again are starting to be proactive, getting those gym memberships online. And I talked to one of my friends the other day that has a gym, and he hasn't had one cancellation because he's over communicating. That's one of the number 1 things I want to tell you about small business. I want you to over communicate with every client you've ever had. I want you to reach out to every client you've ever had any way that you can, whether it's phone, email, text, etc. Because you want to basically ask them if they're okay and how are they doing. This is a relationship building time. This is a huge relationship building time. You want to anchor those relationships. I'm personally doing Facebook Lives every single solitary day, 7 days a week. And I'm doing that so that my community can hear my voice every day and have the voice of sanity, have the voice of freedom, have the voice of fearlessness. So we don't want to sit there and go, oh my God, my business is over. It's like, yes, I get it. Some businesses will not come back. That's correct. They won't. But your business may not be that. And are you kind of thinking outside the box, pivoting your business to kind of figure out how you can run your business in this atmosphere? You may not run it the same way, right? I personally had to cancel 4 live workshops. I had 3 speaking events canceled. That was hundreds of thousands of dollars for me, right? And it's like, what can I do right now? And let me give you an exercise, and I think this is going to help. So grab a piece of paper, and in the middle of the piece of paper, draw a line. Okay, so grab your piece of paper.
Hold on, Rhonda.
Yep.
Rhonda, let's make sure everyone grab a piece of paper, one sheet of paper, and a pen. Let's walk through this together. All right.
Yep.
Everyone's got it? Good. I can't see you, but I think I can feel you. You've got on the sheet, you've got the pen, and all right, we're ready for you, Rhonda.
I love it. All right, you've got your piece of paper. You're going to put a line down the middle. Thank you, Salim. And on the
top to bottom or left to right?
Top to bottom, right down the center. Thank you for asking
Got
that.
it.
So right down the middle, like you have two columns, right? Now you're going to have two columns.
Awesome.
On the
Cool.
right-hand side, the right-hand column, I want you to write the words no control. No control. I want you to write that on the right-hand column. In the left-hand column, I want you to write control. Okay. So now.
Right on the top, we are writing the words left on the left, control, on the right, no control.
Correct.
Cool.
Correct. Now what we want to do is we want to actually say to ourselves and write it down on our paper, all the things we have no control over. So let's start with the right-hand column, the no control list, okay? So if you're willing, go ahead and share some of the things that you're not in control of. What are we not in control of right now? Let's do it together. What are we not in control of? Anybody have any ideas what we're not in control of?
I know people are thinking, and I think we're going to get people responding shortly. What are you not in control of?
Yep. What are you not in control of?
What are the kinds of things you're feeling helpless about? And so here are the answers coming in. Making money, the weather, the pandemic, says Christine.
So making money is actually in your control, but we'll talk about that in a minute, because there'll be aspects that are out of your control and aspects that are in your control. The weather, yes, you're not in control. The pandemic, not in control. Vaccine, not in control.
Yolanda says, when the pandemic ends. Dawn says, changes to essential service businesses. Irfan says, business environment. Carrie says, other people.
Yep, other people's opinions of you. Other people, yep, we're not in control of them. Yep, that's right. We're not in control of when the vaccine happens, right? We're not in control of that, right? So we're not in control of when N95 masks are produced, right? We're not in control of, when paper towels are getting restocked, right? We're not in control of that. Unless you're in charge of that, you're not in control of that, okay? Now let's go over to the...
We're more, and just a few more. Other people's attitudes, SBA loan approvals, sometimes unhappy, complaining clients. So, awesome.
Yes, and you
actually the last one we may have control over.
Yeah, so let's do, because complaining clients and upset clients, you probably have some control over. So let's go over to the list now of things you are in control of. What are you in control of? What are the things that you are in control of? What is in your hands? What can you make an impact on? What do you have power over?
What's within your circle of influence? Dr. Stephen Covey's circle of influence, circle of concern. What are the things that you've got control over? So answers flying in. Christine saying my feeling, Anne saying my own happiness, Brenda saying the way I spend my time, Anne saying my attitude, Christine saying feeling confidence, Brenda saying my thoughts, Marcel saying my decisions.
So some of those things, let's talk about thoughts and feelings. So yes, you're also in control of whether you sleep or not, excuse me. You're in control of whether you drink water. You're in control of whether you're exercising. You're in control over whether you're stretching. You're in control of what you watch. You're in control of what you listen to. You're in control of whether you're connecting to people. You're in control of whether you're asking for help, right? You're in control of, what Facebook groups you look at or what social media you do. You're in control of, what your attitude is with your family and friends, right? You're in control of all that. Now let's talk
Yep,
about
and more answers just
Sure.
flying in just to kind of make sure we capture every, the input folks are giving. Joe from Canada saying, how can I serve my clients? Irfan saying my health and safety. Yolanda saying changing business practices to fit the current environment. Joe saying we're really in total control over what we want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just talk about thoughts and feelings for a minute, okay? Because I want to make sure that I know that you understand this, but I'm just going to remind you, right? So remember, thoughts go through us really quickly. We don't make up all our thoughts. Our thoughts just go, pew, right? So we are not in control of necessarily all the thoughts that move through us, but we are absolutely in control of all the thoughts we choose to court, that we choose to focus on, that we choose to grab onto, the thoughts that we choose to make stories about, right? We have control over all those things. Now, feelings, the same thing. Feelings move through us. I might have a feeling of loss, right? I might have a feeling of sadness. Those are totally human and totally appropriate right now. And then you get to decide what story you want to make up about it. What do you want to do with those feelings? Do you want to just let them move through you, or do you want to grab them and make it a powerful, positive story? Or do you want to take yourself, like, oh, this means I'm going to lose everything, right? So you are not necessarily in charge of the feelings and thoughts that move through you, but you are absolutely in charge of the feelings and thoughts that you indulge, grab onto, court, make stories up about, right? You absolutely are in charge of your decisions, and you definitely have influence over your clients complaining. Somebody had said, put that in the no control column, and you actually have some control over that, right? Because as I said a minute ago, you want to actually over communicate to your clients. You actually want to be ahead of your clients. You want to be saying things and doing things before they ever ask, right? You want to be answering their fears and their questions before they ever think of them. So if you're emailing them every day, I strongly encourage, if you're not emailing them every day, I strongly encourage you start upping your emails. If you have access to social media and that's one way that you reach to your clients, I really highly encourage you to start posting and connecting that way. If you're not comfortable on video, I ask you to kind of get over that and let's connect with our clients. And again, if that's appropriate, some businesses is not appropriate for it. But if it's appropriate for your business, your job is to actually be the leader, the voice of reason. Because as the military in 1987 created something called VUCA. And they studied how they got VUCA was they studied what happens to people during war. Okay, and what happens in people during war is exactly what's happening now, and it's called VUCA, and it's VUCA. Okay, so V stands for volatility. We are in a volatile environment, right? U, uncertainty. People are feeling uncertain, right? C, chaos. They're feeling chaotic, right? They're feeling chaos. And A is for anxiety. They feel anxiety and they have ambiguity and anxiety and anxiousness, right? So that's how people are feeling. That's how we may be feeling and our clients are feeling. But what they determined is that we want to switch in order in the middle of war, the leaders move from VUCA, they want to move from VUCA to something they called CALM, C-A-L-M. And that is what I've actually been having calls with I train certified coaches. Again, I have students in my Fearless Living Institute that learn all about fear and how to master it. I have private clients. And what I've been doing with my coaches is I actually taught them what I'm teaching you right now, VUCA, to CALM. And CALM C stands for clarity. So everybody right now wants clarity. You can give your clients clarity. You can give your employees clarity. And again, it may not be, oh, we're going to open on this day, but you can help them have some clarity. You can give clarity, right? Assurance. All of your clients, your team need assurance that you are coming up with solutions, that everybody's in this together. Like they need to be assured that you're on top of it. L, leader. So right now, all of us, me, you, need to step up our game. And whether we feel like it or not, whether we're having a bad day or not, we've got to be the leader of our community, of our business, of our restaurants, of our stores, of our clients. We must be the leaders. And then M is movement. We've got to stay in movement. So again, whether that's an email, whether that's a Facebook Live, whether that's just a phone call to your most important clients, most client customers, you need to be asking everybody how they're doing. We're on my day right now, I'm on 40 days. Today is day 40 for me being in lockdown. And, reach out to your clients. Even if they've been your clients 5 years ago, reach out to them. Ask them how they're doing. Make movement. So we as leaders want to move from VUCA to CALM, C-A-L-M, clarity, assurance, leadership, and movement. And that is going to give you, again, more empowerment, right? And you're in control of that, by the way, because I haven't even finished that exercise yet. So it gives us more control of our environment, and it gives us a focus, right? It gives us our focus. Okay, right now, okay, can't be worried about what isn't happening. I have to focus on what is possible and what is happening. I've got to get some clarity. I've got to assure everyone around me. I've got to be the leader, and I got to get moving, right? So that is what we are in control of. So let me just finish up the control and no control exercise, and then ask me anything you'd like, questions, comments, etc. But let me just finish this one little bit of this exercise, because this next part is actually super important. So remember, we've got the two columns, no control and control. Now what I want you to do is I want you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, how you're doing with each thing that you're in control of. So sleep, 1 to 10, 10 being I'm sleeping like a baby, I'm getting my 8 hours, I'm amazing, I got a regular routine, I'm rocking, right? So 1 to 10, 10 is I'm rocking it, I'm amazing. 1 is I have no idea what you're talking about, right, Rhonda, right now, right? So are you a 3, are you an 8, are you a 5? Now what about food, taking care of your health? On a scale of 1 to 10, how you doing? Connecting with people, scale of 1 to 10, how are you doing? Asking for support, asking for help, 1 to 10, how are you doing? Like, how are you doing with your mindset? How are you doing with that self-care, right? So how are you doing connecting with your family and friends? How are you doing connecting with your clients, your students, your team, right? So everything in your control of, you want to rate each one a scale of 1 to 10, okay? So you're going to be working on this.
10 meaning
you're
10
awesome.
meaning you've got full control. You're on it. You've got full control of it.
Full control. You're awesome. You're doing it like a champ, right? 1 is I have no idea what you're talking about, right? A 3 is like, well, I'm kind of doing it a little bit here and there. 5 is I do it half the time, not half the time. 8 is, well, I'm doing it more, but not all the time, right? So rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, okay? So just quickly do that. And again, you're going to keep doing this exercise probably after we get off the line, because you're going to add to it. Now, I want you just to quickly look at the scores that are on the left-hand column. I want you just to average it out in your mind. You don't have to do any math. We're just going to guess. So you got some 8s, you got some 6s, you got some 3s, you got some 2s. What is for you the average score that you have when you look at all the things you're in control of? And I want you to write that in the chat. So go ahead, and on a scale of 1 to 10, on average, how are you doing with the things you can control? How are you doing? Just average it. Don't have to do math.
Yeah. So quickly, Rhonda, what are the categories Jake's asking? Just kind of quickly go over those. The things they're in control over.
The things you're in control of. So what are you in control of regarding friends and family? For instance, are you in control? You're in control of asking for help. How are you doing? You're in control of connecting every day with somebody that you love and somebody who loves you. You're in complete control of getting, asking for your needs to be met, asking for what you need to hear, right? You're in complete control of whether you're eating vegetables or not. You're in control of what you're putting in your mouth, right? You're in control of what you're consuming on the internet or on TV. You're in complete control of sleeping, unless you have a toddler or a baby. You may not be fully in control of that, but you have more control. If you have no little ones around, you have more control. You have control over whether you're emailing your list and reaching out to your clients or your students. You have control over what you tell people, what you're telling your clients, what you're telling your team. You have control over whether you're going to sit down and create a new plan and figure out a new pivot strategy, right? You're in control of breaking down your business and seeing which parts can be saved, which parts need to be changed, and which parts are you going to put aside right now, right? You're in complete control of that. So think about health, think about family, friends, your finances, what you're spending, what you're not spending, probably in pretty good control of that. You're in control of that. Again, you may have a partner that is part of that, but you have control over part or parcel of that, if not all of it. So money, health, business, family, friends, emotional, like
So I
taking care
see
of your
the
emotions.
answers, Rhonda, the answers coming in 9s and 8s, 7s, a few 6s. Those are the answers that are coming in from people saying what they're the average score for what they're in control of.
Well, that's incredible. I've been talking to, I've probably spoken to 30, if not 40 groups in the last 4 weeks. And the average of everyone who has been in these groups, and they're dentists, they're lawyers, they're small business owners, you know, they're leaders of some sort, they're on average 5s and 6s. So if you're doing anything above a 6, you're doing incredible. And I want you to double check, are you telling yourself the truth? Not that you're not, it's awesome if you are. And how well are you doing? If you're being a champ and doing 8s and 9s and 10s, awesome, great. But also don't be ashamed or embarrassed that you've got some 5s, some 3s, some 6s, again, because this is a very volatile time. It's very emotional. It's going to trigger us as well. So we've got to take care of ourselves exquisitely so that we can support and take care of others, right? And be the leader that we are. So great work if you've got anything above a 7. And if you've got less than a 7, which most people do right now, awesome. Admit it to yourself and just try to move those scores up just one little bit at a time. One little bit at a time. Because this is what I promise you, Salim, is that when you focus on the things you can control and make progress there, the things that are out of your control will recede in the background. They won't impact you as much. Yes, they're going to still be there, but they're not going to decide your day. They're not going to decide your mood. They're not going to decide your attitude. It's not going to decide your actions. Because when you're in control, then you have the energy and the fortitude and the resilience to actually take the actions that are needed and necessary to make you feel empowered and powerful again and put yourself back in, you know, in charge of your life, so to speak.
That is huge, what you just said, huge. Focus on the things that you have control over and try to notch up that score higher. And then what's in the no control is going to slowly becoming invisible, or it'll start disappearing. It will become lesser of importance.
That's right. That's right. If you're busy taking care of your business and taking care of your family and taking care of yourself, yes, you have to live in the constraints of the coronavirus, i.e. the quarantine, self-isolation, sheltering in place, etc. And you can thrive in the midst of that as well as you can thrive, right? We may not be able to do everything we want, obviously, but you can take your power back and you can make new choices. And this is going to call something, this is going to call something of you to be able to switch and pivot and change and still maintain that level of confidence, maintain that level of courage, maintain that level of leadership. And again, it is okay if you're having moments of doubt. That's normal. We're human. If you're having moments of worry and concern, again, that's human. Don't beat yourself up for it. Don't call it negative. Just be like, of course I feel that way once in a while. It's I'm human and the world is the unknown. So I don't, you know, this thing that's called the unknown, how do I navigate that? Which I'm going to give you an answer for that as well. I'm going to help you with that as well. So yeah, so when you take back your power and focus on the things you can control, and your obsession with what you can't control lessens, right? And you kind of stop watching the news every minute, right? You stop worrying about, oh my God, when the vaccine's happening, right? Instead, it's like, okay, this is the new normal right now, and I've got to figure out how to thrive in the new normal and take my friends, family, clients, students with me.
So it's making a decision. It's really, you've got a choice. I mean, you know, earlier on you say the brain does not know the difference between, you know, reality and imagination. It's focus. You know, the brain doesn't know control, no control. Focus on, make a decision. Focus on what's in control, because that's going to grow. As you more, the more you focus, the more it's going to grow.
That's right. I mean, I feel completely empowered doing these Facebook Lives every day. And now, before the pandemic, if you would have said to me, Rhonda, do a Facebook Live every day, I would have been like, are you kidding me? I'm not doing a Facebook Live every day. You know, like that wouldn't have been even something I would have thought about, right? I did Facebook Lives once in a while, but I didn't definitely do them every day. But when this global pandemic hit, I knew immediately, like it moved through me like quick as a bunny, like, oh, I've got to do Facebook Lives every day. People need to see my face every day. People need to hear my voice every day. People need to, you know, actually stay in their centered place, stay steady, stay clear, stay focused, stay fearless, stay in freedom, stay in choice, stay, and stay empowered. And in order to do that, because we're in a heightened environment, right, where we're in heightened, again, fears all around us for good reason, people need to hear my voice right now. People need to, hear me teaching, need to hear me coaching, need to remember the truth of who they are and the truth of what's possible for them.
Rhonda, this is so amazing what you're sharing here. And I kind of, just from a timeline standpoint, we've got 5 minutes only left. The hour's gone by so fast. You've shared so much good information. I've got a page full of notes. So let's kind of, just, checking in on from a time standpoint. I want to make sure we cover everything you wanted to, kind of share with us, and then perhaps even have some time for a couple of questions as well.
Yeah, so absolutely get your questions in, and I would love to give you one more exercise to help you. And this is the first exercise I did when I was on my way back from Australia. So like I said, remember earlier I said I was in Australia when all this was started to happen. I was speaking at a conference there. And, people were saying, stay in Australia. And I thought, well, it sounds pretty good to stay in Australia, but I don't think I'll get home for many months. I better go now. So I got on the plane, and on the plane, I did the control and no control exercise, but I also did this exercise that I'm going to share with you now. And it is called the worst case scenario exercise. Okay? And I want to explain the worst case scenario exercise to you. And then I also want to tell you why this exercise is so important. Okay? So worst case scenario exercise on the plane, I said to myself, okay, Rhonda, 4 of my Rhonda Britten hosted Fearless Living events are going to be canceled. 3 speaking events, because I'm traveling to them, going to be canceled. That's 7 things that are now canceled off my calendar. Rhonda, what's the worst case scenario? Oh, the worst case scenario is nobody wants to get fearless. All my private clients quit, all my students quit. Nobody wants to face their fears because they're so fearful already, and they run away from fearless living, right? Like nobody wants to do fearless living right now, right? So my business goes under, right? That's the worst case scenario for me, regarding my business. And so I said to myself, okay, well, let's say that happens. Let's just look at it square in the eye. What would you do? Well, let's say I'm down to my last $5,000. What would I do? Well, I'd put all my stuff in storage. Well, Rhonda, you can't afford storage. You only have $5,000. Oh, okay, got it. Only $5,000. Okay, I'm going to put all the things that I own on the front lawn of my house and give it away. And I am going to pack up my Prius. Thank goodness I have a Prius right about now. And oh, by the way, I checked the gas tank, have 3/4 of a tank. Boom, I'm good to go. I'm going to fill up my Prius with my clothes, all my essentials, my Emmy, everything, right? And I am going to drive to one of my best friend's home in Arizona. She has a second bedroom, a bedroom I can stay in. And I would hang out there until I got enough resilience and enough movement, and I'd probably move to another family member's house, right? So I said to myself, okay, so you lose everything, you lose your house, you lose your stuff. Okay, but would you be okay? Would you be okay? Not that you want it, I don't want that, but would you be okay? Could you manage? Could you survive? Could you actually even thrive in that environment? Would I make it? Yeah, I would make it. I would make it. I would, get myself back together. I would figure out, a new strategy. I would, start taking more action, but I'd figure it out, right? So when I did that, the energy, just like that energy with the control and no control exercise, the energy that we're all using to kind of push back and avoid the worst case scenario, like I don't want to look at it, I don't even want to put it in my brain. Especially if you do law of attraction, it's like, I'll track that, right? It's like, no, look at it square in the eye and go, okay, worst case scenario. And then what happens is, because you're no longer fighting it, denying it, ignoring it, that energy that you're using, because remember, denial, avoidance takes energy to do. It's like, you've got to hold it up, right? But the minute that you go, okay, I'm going to look it square in the eye, that energy that's being used to avoid, deny, ignore, actually now you can use to create, use to have new ideas, use to support your business in the way it is now, to support your life the way it is now, so that again recedes in the background and it's more unlikely to happen. But when we're avoiding something and we're not looking at it, and we label that negative because it's a harsh reality, harsh possibility, it's not negative. It's again, I am looking at what could happen, not saying, you know, just looking squarely at it and then taking that energy that I'm using to protect myself, and now I can use it to grow, to thrive, to create. And so I want you to use all the energy that you can to create more life, right? To create more hope, to create more possibility, to create more confidence, not using your energy to avoid, deny, ignore, because that's what you do when you have your fear glasses on, right? When you have your fear glasses on, that's what we do. We ignore, we deny, we avoid, we ignore. And that is not what we want to do with our time and energy right now.
Wow, that was so good. Worst case scenario, the worst case scenario exercise. So we are just like a couple minutes from finishing off. I'd like to invite everyone to share one or two biggest takeaways that you got from spending the hour with us. What's the one thing you're walking away from hearing Rhonda share all the stuff that she did? Take a few seconds. Please type in what that is. And while you're doing that, my goodness, this was so incredible. Rhonda, you blew my mind here with all the good stuff you've shared, the stuff that's so timely and relevant at the time we are in.
Yes.
My personal belief, my personal thoughts from this past couple of months, and and Jason Everett, who we both know, he kind of reminded me watching him in a webinar setting over the weekend. He said the biggest transfer of wealth takes place during times of adversity. And as business owners, which most folks on this program are, we own a business, we're a service provider. This is our opportunity to see the cracks in our foundation.
That's right.
And really look at them head on and really reinvent your business.
That's
because
right.
This is when they've been exposed, and now we can approach it in a positive way from a place of empowerment.
That's
rather
right.
than a place of hopelessness and helplessness.
That's right. That's right. And I would love to give a gift if I may. And again, feel free to grab it. And you will have to put your name and email in. But again, if you don't want to hear from me ever again, just unsubscribe. But the class that I want to,
Let me do that. What is it? I'm going to type it in. So.
Okay. It's fearlessliving.org, fearlessliving.org/gift, GIFT. Fearlessliving.org. Fearlessliving.org/gift, GIFT. And what this class is called How to Overcome Fear of the Unknown, which is where we are. So grab that class.
Perfect.
Put your name and email
everyone
in.
should have. I sent it to everyone, so you'll have it. So let me read some comments that have come in. Perfect. And we're gonna then finish off. But everyone's got the link as well. So please, it's a free gift, which I wasn't expecting. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's see. Yeah, lots of comments coming in here. Joe saying, take control of the situation and be proactive.
Yes.
Jacqueline saying, number one, take my power back. Love that. Deborah saying, I can create a wonderful opportunity to communicate and provide openings for my students. And then Deborah says, Facebook Live as well. Super. Estella says, hey, Estella, says, focus on what we can control and communicate. Awesome. Good. Jacqueline saying, maintain a level of courage and leadership. Marcel saying, I've got a pretty good score on exercise and get lots of energy and focus from this meeting. Super. How are you, Marcel? Good to hear. Christine saying, a few more and then we'll finish off. This time has gone by so fast. Christine saying, although we are not able to change what's happening now, the same situation can be different depending on our attitude. In this chaotic situation, your speech is so incredible. Thank you, Rhonda and Salim, too. You're welcome. And saying, focus on what I can change and make every effort to change it. Well said. And then she says, then things that I can control will also become favorable. Don't hold on to negative things. Assume the worst, then what? You'll have more energy to revamp your life. Love that, Anne. Good stuff. Lynn saying, avoid, deny, ignore, waste too much. It wastes too much time. Cool.
Yes.
All right, couple more, and then Rhonda, I'll give you a few seconds to kind of wrap it up for us. Joy saying, Rhonda, excellent session, very inspirational, fantastic. Jacqueline saying, communicate with everyone, including your prior clients. Love that. Super. Rhonda, final words of wisdom.
Well,
This was incredible.
Thank you, Salim. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me. And, you know, this is what I'll leave you with is that, you know, there's nothing wrong with you. This is just fear. And fear does not have to decide your future or your now. And you have full power to take your fear glasses off and put your freedom glasses off. In Fearless Living, we call it the Wheel of Fear and Wheel of Freedom. And, you know, you have every opportunity to get off the wheel of fear and get on the wheel of freedom. So I wish that for you. I know it can happen. I know it's happening right now. Thank you so much. And I look forward to meeting you in person one day. And I dare say hug you. Gosh, maybe one day I'll be able to do that.
Rhonda, thank you so much. You really came this past hour. You came from a place of serving. You've served the people that were here. Thank you for the incredible insights you did. I'm walking away taller, stronger, better from listening to you share the gems that you did. And I want to thank everyone that joined us. You took an hour out of your life. Hope you got a lot from it. It seems from the comments that you did. So thanks for doing that. All right, guys, let's finish off. Hope you all have a great weekend. Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, Rhonda.
Bye.